Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in today's guide we are going to be talking about the most optimal gear sources for week 1 of patch 11.2 season 3. We are a little bit of way into the first week here, but I wanted to stop and drop a quick video. Just a quick side note, if you want to watch me live, you can watch me live on Twitch, links in the bio. And you can watch me on Kick if you prefer Kick. So let's get started. Now, when we go into week 1, there are a few mandatory things that you have to do. First of all is you need to complete 3 chapters of the Night's Edge campaign. Upon completion, you will get your Rishi's Wraps. You'll know you're at the end because the last quest is quite literally called Wrap Things Up. So make sure you go and do that first. By completing that, you unlock the Karesh area. The next thing you can do is you will pick up a weekly quest at this location here. Make sure you go into phase diving and complete that. Now, this isn't a priority, so I'd leave this right at the end of your farming trail. Make sure you do it before next week because it is a weekly quest and it gives a decent amount of reputation. As you can see right now, I am almost at Renown 4. Reason why we care about Renown this patch is because at Renown 18, we get our continuous use on the augment rune, and it costs about 100,000 gold. But if you actually calculate how much you'll spend on runes compared to the 100,000 gold, 100,000 gold seems a lot cheaper. The next thing that you want to do is, funnily enough, go around and do all of your weekly quests in the War Within. So you've got the quest here, the Theatre Troop, which spawns every hour. You've got this weekly quest up here over in Hallowfall. You've got the Ringing Deeps weekly quest. You can just do the Awaken Machine here. And then you've also got the one down in Ajgahet, the weekly one that gives you the chest. The reason why we want to do those is because every time you complete a weekly, you have a chance of getting veteran gear. The veteran gear can go all the way up to 691, and it's just a free source. Again, I would put this at the bottom of where you want to be when you're farming things. The main priority is going to be our weekly vault. In our weekly vault, we have 2 things that we want to do. We want to complete a full suite of 8 tier 8 delves. Note, for these tier 8 delves, you do not need to use your coffer keys. You can keep your coffer keys until next week so that you get the champion gear. But this week, we just want to complete 8 as fast as physically possible. The fastest one that I personally did is the one over in Undermine, the Sin Street Sluice. Side Street Sluice, sorry. The reason why we do this one is because it's super simple and you can just run to the last boss. Tier 8s are not that hard at all. I soloed the whole thing at 680. I then got a couple of pieces of gear, which is why I'm now 682. But it's actually not that bad at all. You can do it in a group as well. So if you've got a group of buddies that you normally run Mythic Plus with, 100% do that. The next thing that you want to do is complete every single one of the season dungeons. Once you complete them on Mythic 0, again, you will get the unlock for the tests for the weekly vault. Again, the reason why we're doing this is because we want to maximize the potential of our loot on the week 2 reset, which technically is our first weekly reset in the vault, to get max hero gear as much as you possibly can. Typically, for most people, it's going to be weapon, but you may get a tier piece set as well to start diving into that. You also will get at least, well, you'll only get 2 sparks within your first week. Once you create them, you can go ahead and craft a piece of gear. However, it is very, very much recommended to wait until the following week before we go and craft anything, because you want to wait for that weekly vault, because depending on what you get, you may want to craft something different. We note that next week we won't be getting a second crafted item. Or a second crafted one, so you need to make sure that whatever you're going to craft is going to be something that you're going to want to keep for a long time. When we do our Mythic 0 dungeons, you will get champion track gear. Upgrade it to 691 this week. Don't go any higher than that. Anything higher than that, you'll start using your crests, and it may not really be relevant because you may get a piece of champion track gear and then in your vault replace it quite fast. So it is definitely worth waiting. You then can do the world boss over in Karesh, which has to be the longest world boss known to mankind, in my opinion. World boss spawns up here. You can do it once a week. When you complete it, you will get a chance of getting a champion piece of gear. Note that you can get any piece of champion gear, including cloth. So as you can see on my shaman, I ended up getting a cloth belt. So it's definitely worth doing. And do it on as many ults as you want, because you can. And hopefully feed your main depending on the armor piece that you get. But that is it. That is our main goal for this week. Further off from that, once you completed your vault and you completed all the stuff that you want to complete and all your weeklies, the only last thing that you could potentially do is do all of these side quests in the new zone. This will just give you passive renown anyway, and hopefully put your renown up a couple of points to optimize where you're at going into week 2. You can also do the Dark Moon Fair as well if you want to get a bit of extra rep. I personally don't use the Dark Moon Fair, but if you want to use the Dark Moon Fair, it takes about 10 minutes to do it, and you'll get additional pieces of rep anyway, so it's definitely worth doing it if you want to farm that rep. Apart from that, guys, make sure you enjoy the content. Most importantly, this week's quite ult friendly, so if you want to do it on a few characters, you definitely can. Just keep in mind that you want to complete as much of this as you possibly can on your main. So if you do have a few ults that you're playing, but you don't really play them that much, it may be worth just doing kind of the tier 8 delves. It takes about an hour to do all 8 tier 8 delves, depending on the group and how fast you can do it. But yeah, that is where I am, and that is the idea. So I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And anything that I missed, make sure to comment down below, and I'll see you all in the next one.